Hey guys, Kevin here, episode 7 of In Touch with TLR. Today, unfortunately, we're not going to have any tech tips for you. We're going to get in touch with some of the guys here in the office, like we talked about before. So first of all, I'd like to say, all these videos are uploaded to YouTube, to the Team Velocity Racing YouTube channel, and they're all in a playlist, so that way it's very easy for you to go back if there's any kind of tech tips that you want to go back to and reference, like shocks or whatever we talk about. You can easily go back. It's on YouTube. You can go in there. There's a playlist. You can go and find it. So it's very easy for you to go back and find any of these episodes. So today we're going to talk about engineering. We got Mike Mellin here. Mike, what do you do here at Team Velocity Racing? What's your category you work on?
So I mainly work in the 10th scale race platform. I'm a design engineer. So I pretty much do all the design of the two-wheel, four-wheel truck stuff. I work with Frank Root, the product developer, Kevin, the team guys, to just develop and improve all our cars and vehicles.
Cool. So Mike, I don't know if you know, Mike, you've been around the industry for a long time. You worked at Team Velocity Racing many, many years ago with Junior, right?
Yes. I started in the Chino days of Team Velocity Racing for 3 days. Worked directly with Velocity Junior. I was kind of a draftsman, did a little bit of design, just learning all that stuff. Then I kind of stepped away for a while and came back, and I've been with Horizon for about 7 years now.
Yep.
Do design now here.
Yep. So Mike works on, like you said, he works on the 22 platform. So all you guys out there that run anything in the 22 line of product, Mike has been behind that. So he's put out some great products, some very innovative product. The design is amazing. I think everybody can contest to the look of our 22 buggy. Our 4.0 is on fire this year and the last year. It's been probably one of the top cars. It's been really, really good. So we want to get into some, kind of show you guys some of the stuff, the day-to-day that Mike does, some of the stuff that he likes, maybe some of the stuff that he doesn't like doing. Everybody has parts of their job they don't like, right? It's just part of life. But we wanted to show you guys, so our latest product is the 22T 4.0. Which we're really excited about. We're really excited to see the 22 or the truck class grow back to where it used to be 5-6 years ago as one of the dominant classes. So we really put a lot of effort into the 22T 4.0. Mike, can you show us or tell us about some of the big things that you guys worked on with the new platform?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll give you a quick little insight. When we develop
we're going to give you guys a little close up here of like the design of the car and what he's got kind of showing here.
Yeah. So when we decide we're going to come up with a new vehicle, we kind of take our current vehicle and we will basically have a meeting and we'll determine with team manager, product developer Frank Root, and our team racers, find out what's the good things and what's the bad things with the current platform, and then we decide what we want to move forward with on the new platform. So on the screen is a 22T 4.0. As you see, we added like the laydown transmission. That was the main addition to the truck this time. A little bit of shock setup. The rear shocks can be even forward and backwards. All this is all developed, prototyping and with a team.
Yep. The team, Frank Root, which is the product manager for the 22 platform vehicles. So yeah, like Mike says, we kind of get down on the round. We sit down on the round table. We discuss what we want to make better, what we don't like, what we like, and then it goes from there. And then we do a lot of prototyping parts, correct, Mike?
Yes.
So you draw up the parts and then...
Correct, yeah. Anytime for all the new parts, before we open tooling, molding, and all the new parts, we prototype everything. And from there, we decide, we know, like, different camber link holes, shock positions, all that stuff is determined from the prototype parts. And they can be made of aluminum, all different types of materials. And then we just we narrow it down to decide on where those key position points for the suspension need to be. And then once everything's approved, we open tooling and make all the molded parts.
Gotcha. So we did the 22T. You know, we did some stuff. The truck's been great. So what's you know what's some of the most exciting things you get to do in your job?
I think probably the most exciting part of the job is actually the design of the final production parts.
Gotcha.
So after the prototyping's done, all the testing's done, and I can get in there and really just start designing, you know, the look of all the parts. That's probably the best part. For example, like the rear shock tower. So we needed to design a rear shock tower that fit shocks on the front, and we want to be able to run them on the back. So I got to kind of take geometry from both and make a shock tower that works. So this shock tower was a little tricky to do because it's a single shock tower, but it works with the front shocks on the front side and shocks on the back side. As you can see, you can flip it back and forth. And then the shock tower can just be flipped 180 degrees, and then shocks can be mounted on the other side. So it was kind of a cool project to work with, trying to get it to work with all different configurations, as we call it. So this is the shock tower. I kind of give you a rundown, like SolidWorks design. I'll bring it up to the very beginning here. Kind of you just start out with almost like blocking it out, but it's kind of cool. You can kind of show you how the development of the shock tower comes up to, and where the design comes to.
I'm learning something new too, guys.
So it's kind of like the design tree in SolidWorks. You can actually go back to any point in the history of the design and change something. Now, of course, the change might have consequences on later features, but it's pretty cool. The program works really easy, and it's really fluid. Yeah.
So I understand you guys can even see within SolidWorks with what you're doing, you can even see like flex of the material, flex of the product, right? I mean, before it even becomes an actual item.
Correct. Yeah. So we use a SolidWorks simulation. I can go in there and say for chassis. So chassis is a little bit different with the laydown transmission in it. So I take like the 3.0 chassis, and I can add basically like a force to it and simulate fore aft flex and torsional flex. Gotcha. And from there we can kind of develop like, okay, how does it compare with the previous chassis? Is it going to be more or less? And then we can adjust it from there by adding pocketing to chassis or stiffness, maybe the side guards or wherever it might be.
Very cool. Very, very cool. So, all right, guys. Well, that's the 22 line. You know, Mike is the guy. This is the guy. There's a lot of guys behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. But this is the guy that is the forefront and the engineer for all the 22 line of product. That's the truck, the short course, the 2-wheel drive, the 4-wheel drive. So he's got a big job ahead of him. But very cool. So if you guys got any questions for us, throw some questions at us. Let's talk engineering for a little bit.
I got a question. How do you, once you get the part designed, how do you share that information with the factory that's going to make it? And like, how do they know what specs to reach and hold tolerances, things like that? Like, how does that work?
Okay, so we'll go back to the shock tower. Look, we have a drawing up. So when the part's done design, we'll basically just start make a drawing of the part. And then the drawing itself, so here's a drawing of the shock tower. So the engineer's primary job, and one of the hardest jobs there is to do, is dimension the part out, and then tolerance it according so the fit is correct. So that's kind of one of the hardest things to do, get a hold of. But this is kind of just an example of the drawing for it. So we'll do this drawing. And then once everything's done, it might have different configuration materials. And then this one, actually, you can see all the revisions we made. So when I first originally drawed it, we added body mounts, we added revision, and a few other things before it went to production release. But we would send this information with the part file to the vendor, and the vendor would get the drawing and the part and then make it according.
Very cool. Yep.
Gotcha. So some of the revisions, like if something breaks, you guys will make that change, and then you put that revision on there so they know what happened and when and that type of stuff.
Yep. Here at TLR, we do everything here as far as we tell what materials to use, all the revisions, all the design, everything is here. Our vendor pretty much just makes the part according to our specs. Yep.
Cool. So we all love our jobs, but what's the one part of engineering that you probably dislike the most? What's the the least fun?
So probably one of the least fun parts of my job is probably manuals. So we don't do the complete manual, but we do all the views. So if you see like the line views of all the assembly pictures, we have to do that, and it can get complicated, and it's just time consuming. And then of course
homework.
You might be halfway through the manual, and then every timelines are so tight that we might have a problem with the part might break, or the setup changes a little bit. So we might have to go back and update the manual of previous steps. So it gets kind of a pain, but it's something we do and move through. Cool. It's probably the least favorite for sure.
Yep. Any other questions for us, Rich?
Not yet. It's I don't see anything. I see thumbs up. And just like we said, someone asked about the on-road car behind you.
Oh. Yeah, this isn't a...
Right. It's nothing we're doing, guys. It's just something we've had like...
Not our car.
Somebody made it like 10 years ago. And
yep. It's something Mike's had on his desk since I think I met him here.
Yeah, it's just been sitting there. Jim Mitchell asked if you're hiring.
That I don't know. You can check hh.com. It's always up there. Definitely. So,
is there a new four-wheel drive in the works?
We are always fully committed to all racing segments. We're fully committed to everything.
That sounded like copy paste. There's Bradley. Bradley says, "Hey gang, awesome work."
Bradley.
What's up, Bradley?
John Grohoff. I'll help with the manual. Looks like more fun than my drafting job.
Yeah.
See if anybody else got any questions.
Any other questions for us, guys? So we're not always going to do tech tips. That's not fully what this is all about. In Touch with TLR is really about learning the behind the scenes of TLR. Everybody sees the upfront at the races, which is what we do. But that's such a small part of what we do. The only reason we're able to do the racing is because of everybody that sits in this office and that allows us to do it. The engineers are really the foundation of Team Losi Racing. They develop everything that we promote. So that's why I wanted to start with the engineering team, because, like I said, they're the foundation. They develop the product. They develop our look and who we are. So, yeah.
How do you decide the material density?
So
we don't want to give all our secrets away.
Yeah.
But we can give you a general answer.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure of the question about material density, but as far as, like, give you an example, just choose a material. It all determines on what the part's being used for. So if you're comparing like a shock tower compared to like a battery hold down strap, the shock tower might be a little bit stiffer material, a little bit more high dense than say the strap material, maybe a little more flexy, but it varies all over the place. The arms, I mean, sometimes you want stiff arms, sometimes you want softer arms that flex a little bit more, so it's kind of a balancing act.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. And that changes, I think, even after we come out and we make improvements along the road. Yeah,
materials, everything constantly changes. Yeah. Sure.
Will there be a carpet 22 4.0 kit with a gear diff?
Yep. Like I've said before on the beginning of the videos, we would love to disclose new products and things that we're working on. But as you all know, unfortunately, we're not able to do that. It's just the way it is. But we, like I have always said, we're fully committed. Team Losi Racing is racing in its blood, and this is what we do. And we're not slowing down. We're not stopping. We're fully focused, moving forward, and we are fully committed to all the segments of racing that we are involved in. So there's always stuff we're working on every day.
Copy paste. Do you guys compare with other companies' RC cars?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure it's the same for across the board for any manufacturer. We look at other people's cars and see what the good things they have, if we can benefit or improve on. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think if in any segment of racing, if Formula One could, if the Red Bull team could get a hold of the Ferrari's team car and drive it, I'm sure that they would. So in our form of racing, we have the ability to run other people's products and know where we're at. That's how we become better, and we give the best product that we can for our customer.
How difficult is it to maintain an advantage over other brands?
I'd say it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, very tough.
it's an everyday battle, just like anything in business. Your competition every day. That's what we do. We sit down, and he sits down at the engineering table, and Frank and myself on the team side, we are a racing team, and racing's in our blood. So that's part of it. It's a everyday challenge. But we look forward to it.
What is the engineering timeline to get a product on the track for testing?
Well, that's a tough question.
Yeah. It varies for sure.
Getting a product for testing. I
I guess it would depend on how involved the product is, whether it's a full rework or
I'd say it can be anywhere from a month to 6 months. It depends on how many parts are needed for the testing car and how much prototypes manufacturing is needed to get the cars ready. But it varies so much. It can be weeks, it can be months, it can be even over a year. No problem.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. That's it right now.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys a couple more minutes if you want to throw some last minute questions in for us over here. I will say next week we're going to build a 22 diff. We're going to work on some electric stuff. We've been really focused on nitro the last 6 episodes. So moving forward, the next couple of weeks, we're going to do some 22 stuff. We're going to work on that. We're going to work on a diff next week, and then we'll go from there. Then we'll jump back into some 8-scale stuff in the next probably 3 weeks or so. Jump back into some 8-scale stuff.
Got a pretty good question here.
Yeah.
When designing new parts, do you guys perform FEA analysis on parts to rule out potential max stress areas, or are your parts over-engineered to compensate for this?
A little bit of both. We definitely do. We use SolidWorks simulation, was an FEA program. A lot of the stuff, we kind of have an idea already if there's, if they break or if it's going to be an issue with them. But if there is, like if we have a suspension arm or a shock tower that has broken during testing, we'll take it back and we'll run analysis on it, and that includes adding forces to it. We even do mold flow simulations to make sure the molding from the vendor is correct. Also, make sure there's no weld lines in the mold that where the breakage is coming from. So yeah, we do everything.
We'll ask another copy-paste question, so we'll just go back a couple minutes and you'll see an answer to to your question. Do the engineers specialize in 1/10 versus 1/8 or work on everything?
Here we're pretty much multitask and everything. I strictly mainly work on the 10 scale stuff. Our other engineer, Brian Kenny, is mainly responsible for the 8 scale stuff, but during one or the other gets super busy, we jump in and help each other. So I've worked on 8 scale projects before. Brian's worked on 10 scale projects. So we even work on non-TLR projects. So it includes RTRs. So we're all over the place.
Boats, you name it. Whatever we need, we use these guys.
Yep. But mainly, Mike's main focus is the 22 platform on the TLR side. So yeah. But I'd like to bring up, we have the World Championships coming up in Australia this year, and there's a Worlds every year. It fluctuates. One year it's 8 scale, the next year it's 10 scale, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. But I know we always sit down. I think like maybe 6 months before the World Championships, and we'll take our current line of product, and we will kind of assess where we are at the time, and we specifically, make parts before the World Championships, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's something we've always done. Every year we sit down and,
Correct.
you know.
Yeah, the World's a good time to bring new parts and, you know, and kind of just, you know, a little bit of development. Because, like, for a couple years, for example, was Japan, where we ran carpet or carpet, astroturf, carpet, and caught us off guard a little bit. For sure, caught everybody off guard. But yeah, so we had to bring a bunch of parts and kind of try them right then and there. So
yeah, we had to quickly develop a carpet setup and some parts, and
sometimes it's not as hard. That was probably one of the hardest ones we ever done. But yeah, we're always development right before the Worlds and just trying to get any advantage we can.
Yep.
Does a person need to have a background in automotive engineering to become an engineer that designs RC cars?
I don't think you need that strictly to become an engineer. I think knowing RC cars is more valuable, and just the knowledge of the cars and just your history of RC racing is kind of the main thing.
Yep.
Cool. Nice shirts. I like those shirts you guys are wearing.
You like these? These are the new shirts, guys. In stock now. They are very nice, to be honest with you.
All right.
Yep, that it?
That's it right now.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Next week, like I said, we'll be back to some tech tips. We're going to do some 22 stuff, electric stuff for the next few weeks. Then we're going to jump back into some 8-scale stuff. And then after that, our next in touch with the company internally, we're going to talk to Brian Kinney over there on the 8-scale side, engineer. And yeah, so thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
See ya.